What is up, sheeple? Okay, that's. I'm like,
That was
let me
nice.
see how long
That
Nishank
that
bajas
felt
सकता हूँ.
like that felt like when the Rock used to come and like, can
Yeah.
you smell what the
I was
Rock
like,
is
yeah.
cooking?
Fuck, dude, I miss watching him in WWE so hard. Like,
Oh, dude, yeah, man.
he would light up
Dwayne the
my
Rock
day.
Johnson. Shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who is
Hey,
like the
aloha, my
craziest
friend.
person. I think he was one of my favorites for sure. Him and
Yeah.
I think the other favorites I would say have to be the DX duo in general because that
Ooh.
era was something else.
Dude,
We
seriously,
need
you
to do
remember
we
Eddie
need to do an episode
Guerrero
on
and
just
like,
this.
dude, right, like, oh fuck. See, guys, this is
um,
Sheeples. This is how we get our. This is how strategic we are. We figure out our
very
topics
strategic,
while we are
much
doing another
strategic, very
topic.
wow.
So yeah, much wow
But
happening, man.
hello, sheepos. What's up? We are back after a long week away from Sheeples page. This was I did not even update a story for this week. Actually,
Yeah. We've been AWOL, and
yeah.
probably in a week or two we will tell you why. It's a
I think it was
suspense.
more. This one was a little more, I guess, for personal stuff
Yeah,
because
yeah,
Z was busy with his own
yeah,
things that he needed to work on.
yeah,
Again, you'll
yeah.
you'll know soon enough.
You'll know soon, like full
And
top secret. And then my man over here who is gonna tell us his name for the episode soon, right?
and
Like,
Gengar, because this is the third episode and I need to evolve
whoa,
into
full
Gengar.
Bhangar, Gengar,
Bhangar, oh my god, Bhangar bana diya.
Gengar, like
But I have
full.
evolved into Gengar. I still remember what we had spoken about the first episode.
Nice,
It's not out
nice.
of my
Yeah,
head. So
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I am
That's good. He has a
Gengar.
good memory, Sheeples, as you can clearly see.
Oh my, at least I remember something. Like,
Dude,
more than
Pokemon
I can
is
ask.
all you should remember. Like, if you were had an option to wipe all memories from your head and only have one, I think it would be the world of Pokemon. Like, I wouldn't mind being delusional, thinking that
Yeah.
my cat in my building is Persian or
Oh,
Meowth.
bro, before we actually move on to the topic though, I do want to
Yeah.
say like Pokemon has been blowing up at the moment. I really wish we could do the pack like card opening right now because
Ooh.
on YouTube, right? Because recently
Yeah.
there's been a sudden surge of everybody opening Pokemon cards and loving Pokemon again because there's this YouTuber or a big like personality basically who did like this base set opening the first Pokemon card set that had been released, wala. Like he bought like a whole box
Ooh.
of that original first edition cards
Damn,
and
damn,
opened it
damn.
like live, and he sold each pack to people and opened it for them on the stream, and he would send them like the cards once they've been opened. So he
How
sold
cool
like
is
like
that?
that. You want to guess how much that box was sold for? By the way,
Like
like the first edition box.
$500? Yeah, I
uh,
am weak. I chose
you
poorly.
are you are weak.
You chose poorly.
You why. Sorry. That was honestly like that is not even close to the price because the
Damn, damn,
price
damn.
that he bought that at least box for
Uh-huh.
was like you won't imagine it, two hundred
Drum
thousand
roll.
dollars.
What?
$200,000, bro.
Holy fuck. 200,000 rupees बोल देता तो भी मेरी फट जाती भाई तो डॉलर्स
Nah,
बोल रहा
bro,
है.
$200,000.
My
That's how much he
god.
bought.
For
And
all of my Indians, this is 15 lakh rupiah. Like this could buy you a Hyundai Creta.
so so so,
Yeah.
so each box I think has about like uh 40, 38, 36, 40 packs or something around those numbers. I think it's 36 packs or something.
How did he
And
get his hands on
so
like
first editions are still available. Like you get boxes, so the value goes up every year, kind of thing, right? And there are
hmm.
very like the one now that he's bought one more, there's one less box left in the world, kind of thing, right? So it becomes even more valuable because there's like limited edition left now, only limited amount of stock because they don't reprint or print anything of like that first edition ever, right? That
Hmm.
like the first edition was the first edition, and
Oh, so
that's
these are
about it.
like these are people who are I guess called scalpers, right? Who like basically
Something around those
they
lines,
buy
you
and
can
they
say.
hoard.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair.
So they sell it to mainly collectors and all those kind of people because
Fair.
who else will pay like $200,000,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, like a lot of
But
people rage on these guys too hard, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like it's just simple economics, like supply and demand. Like
Pokemon is still releasing newer cards anyway, so
yeah, I
if you
mean,
really do want to open Pokemon cards, you can buy the newer sets.
yeah.
It's not too bad. Though the
Mm.
only thing is like base set is still base set, right? And
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
as humans, we have this weird attachment to like
nostalgia.
one of the
Yeah.
first for yeah nostalgia. Right? So whether it's like the first girlfriend, boyfriend slash partner slash, or it's like the first Pokemon. Like I remember I bought a bunch of Pokemon packs, but I distinctly remember the cards that I got in my first six. Like
Yeah.
I think it was 6 or 7 in one pack, right? So like it's
10,
weird
10.
that way, but oh
You
10.
get
Okay,
10 in
then
a pack. Yeah.
okay, then maybe I don't remember correctly, but it's insane because like you sort of hold on to that memory so hard, and it's like the other
Yeah.
memories don't even take any kind of importance. They just get
But
like thrown
the
away.
thing, right? Like, we are so off the topic right now, but
Fuck yeah, dude! What
just
was this topic?
just to mention before we go on, is that guy like sold each of those packs? I think he had 36 or 40, one of those numbers. So I can't remember exactly, but he
Hmm.
sold each of those packs for $11,111. So he
Fuck
actually made the money
yeah!
like back, or rather, he made double back almost.
Dude, that is so smart.
From
What's the
the
name of this Mashurasti?
So he's been a very controversial person, and he's done
Okay.
some things that I would never agree with, and I
Ah,
still don't feel he's a good person to do that. But he's
okay.
also like worked on reworking his image, even though I guess a lot of it is PR and all. I don't know how. So he's a very neutral person for me right now. I can't, but I still like don't like the fact what he did. But his name is Logan Paul. Just I have
Okay.
to mention it since he did the big thing. But
Okay.
yeah, I he's though I will say like I watched this other YouTuber called KSI who is like one of my favorites to watch in general, and oh my god, they had a boxing
Hmm.
match and everything. Again, it's a whole thing. Let it be later. This is not a topic for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise we'll
Fair.
get deviated again. So we are back with a podcast about spooky stuff. I'd say because
Hmm.
this is spooky month. It is the month of
Oh yeah.
October,
Pookie
and
Pookie.
horror is one of our favorite genres, as we've discovered over the past two pods. It seems.
हाँ
Uh,
हाँ
हाँ मतलब इतना
हाँ
unenthusiastic
ऐसा
कि हाँ
full
बोला ना जी तू like
एकदम ऐसा
this
like
was
ऐसा
this
trying
was
so hard not to
saddest
like
हाँ
एकदम नहीं, हाँ ठीक है ना अभी और क्या करना है अभी मतलब करना
but
मतलब
yeah.
बोलना यार मेरे को हॉरर स्टोरी सुनने का है यार जल्दी करना यार क्या कर रहा है
Hey, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you.
honest listen oh no okay mister he's
uh,
saying fuck you to me okay okay Apu from the
oh
Simpsons
god. I think if someone wanted to describe the Sheeples podcast, it
कैसे
has to
करेगा
be
कैसे
it has to be the word chaotic. It has to be
random
the word chaotic.
random like random like oh like so random
बस
and
अभी
then we just continue
अभी
doing that
let's get to the point.
हाँ एकदम let's go to the point bro
Let's go. So today we actually wanted to talk about legends all across the world and also in our local hometown of Mumbai.
Ooh,
Mumbai, whatever Bombay for the people who love saying Bombay and can't say it anymore.
Bombay. So that's
Mumbai,
like perfect. Like mid ground is Bombay, right? Like Bombay, like Mumbai and Bombay. It's
Bombay,
Bombay,
huh?
Bombay.
Bombay.
Right? Go for it.
We bumming it around here,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. We just.
I could make
Dude,
another
you know
joke,
what?
but then
Like,
that would be illegal
don't.
at the moment.
Ooh, bumkar, bro. Bumkar,
Bum kar,
bumkar.
bum kar, bas. रहने दे.
But like the one thing I remembered, like that I wanted to mention last podcast, like an honorable shout out for scary movies. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
and this is surprisingly Indian scary movies. And I didn't know about these movies till like a few years ago. So apparently Bollywood made some good horror, which I wasn't aware about.
Oh,
And then
definitely.
few of those movies, like one of the movie you must have heard about, right? I don't know if we discussed, but the movie Bhoot, which had Ajay Devgan and another, I
Oh,
don't remember the
we didn't
actress.
discuss this. We
We
discussed
didn't discuss,
Makri
right?
last time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Bhoot was a really, really nice movie, which I think came around the year 2005, 2006, or at least in that
Mm-hmm.
decade. It was an
Yeah.
honorable mention I wanted to put out there. The other good movies, and these are two, okay, and they run their stories are extremely similar,
Yeah.
but they have weirdly diverse enough to be interesting. One is called Darna Mana Hai, and Darna Mana Hai was a very very interesting
Oh
movie,
shit. Yeah.
which was like a collection of multiple horror movies. It like started with a bunch of
Tarna
cool
Mana,
teenagers.
a movie or was it a TV series?
No, it was a movie. Darna Mana Hai was a movie. It had like on the same lines there was another movie made, but it had like popular actors. Like it had Saif Ali Khan, Boman Irani. I think one of them had Amir
Oh,
Kapoor.
right.
And I think there was a Darna Mana Hai and there was a Darna Zuri Hai. Like they I don't know.
Suddenly,
I,
your suddenly like did a electronic mingle jungles,
oh,
whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
You
I
might
was
need to
trying a
repeat
new
like Darna
dubstep
Zaruri Hai
effect.
wala part and
Yes,
after
I'm
Saif Ali
basically
Khan and
saying
Boman
that.
Irani.
Yeah, saying that these movies were set on very similar lines, and they were named also very similarly, but I think they were made by two different sets of people. But both of them
Uh-huh.
had a brilliant collection of short horror movies. And like I think out of both of them, I personally remember Darna Mana Hai well. It had like Saif Ali Khan, it had Nana Patekar, it had even this guy Vivek Oberoi, I guess. And the collection of
Right.
short movies
Okay.
was nice, very very interesting. So for people who think that Bollywood hasn't made any decent horror movies, I check both of these out because they were really really scary. Like I remember like
Another shout out that we can give, I guess. One is like to I think apparently like from what I've heard from a lot of people, or rather I've seen around Twitter and all that, is that like the South Indian movie industry made a good few horror movies as well early on. I don't think we've ever had the opportunity to really like watch those because we never gave checked into it or looked into it. But I think it's a good industry to shout out as well in this case. Sorry, Sheeples. I think today we've been having a few random issues. I guess it's been a week, so so it
yeah,
does happen from
it's
time to
been a
time.
week.
Week, yes. But like we said, we were talking about it. In general, like there's a lot of movies, not only in our industries, but like other industries other than Hollywood, that have some really crazy ass horror movies. Like if you go for Japanese industry, movie industry, or
Ooh, yeah,
you go
yeah,
for the
yeah,
Korean movie industry, which has some crazy ass horror movies from what I've heard.
yeah.
And honestly, like I think I want to really check out all of these different like horror genre movies because they seem like it would be fun to get to know a lot more about urban legends that these movies are based on all across the world especially, and that's what our topic for today is. Urban
Yes.
legends. Yeah, transitioning, we are learning to become
Whoa,
podcast.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Yeah! Killing it.
Oh my god, after what 32 episodes, this is this is
Damn,
how
dude,
where we are.
so proud. 32 episodes down the line.
That's kind of
Yes.
crazy. I want we should do like a big guest thing on 50th episode, right?
Yeah, right. Let's get
Like
it pretty fast.
try to reach out to people at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah. That would be fun. That would be fun.
I think we should already do that to be fair, but
Chal, bro. Karte.
huh. But anyway, so
Okay, yeah.
we
Going
wanted
back.
to talk about urban legends, and we wanted to get into the whole aspect, you know, what it's like to look into the legends of different like countries and see like what kind of
Hmm.
I guess monsters, scary stories that they have that they usually heard as kids or as adults, and they've spoken to each other about. And I guess what better place to start than our own city?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
100%, dude.
So let's go. What are the urban legends in Mumbai? Z, I want to know about them.
Dude, like one of the ones that I remember like listening since I was a kid. is an urban legend that basically surrounds RA colony in the
Uh-huh.
Goregaon area. If you're from Mumbai, you know where RA colony is. If you're not, then it's basically like a stretch of forest, in within the city, and
Yeah.
it's like a nice natural escapade, and it feels like being not in the city. So it's pretty cool. And one of the urban legend that surrounds it is basically that, like some of the most brilliant legends, it starts at night,
Yeah.
and it's so some context is there's a lot of Bollywood, which is the Indian movie industry, a lot of Bollywood shooting work also that goes around. So a lot of people are working odd hours. They sort of travel at like odd hours, early in the morning, late in the night,
Yeah.
and these people have experienced this weird thing that happens, which is basically that whenever you're driving a car around RA colony, and
Yeah.
it's a little after 1 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
basically you have this phenomena of finding somebody who's asking for a lift, and that's where the crazy starts, because in
Yeah.
India, or at least in Mumbai, the whole concept of giving lifts to people is not really, it doesn't exist. I mean, if I was driving and if I see a strange person
It's
asking,
rare. It's
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 rare for
very rare. Matlab, like even for somebody like me who thinks that, oh, I like to be helpful and I would help people, even I would be very skeptical stopping the car and letting a stranger get in, like because of whatever reasons. So
yeah.
in this instance, what happens is you find a woman asking for a lift, and contrary to like
She
popular
seems to be
beliefs,
in distress as well, by the way.
yeah,
Just like yeah.
and contrary to like popular belief, she is not dressed weird. She's not wearing like a red sari, or she isn't
Yeah.
wearing like a white
Yeah.
sheet like from
Yeah.
Scooby Doo or something like that. She's just dressed very casually, for casually enough for you to think that she's just a regular person. Um,
Like
and
casual Indian wear in
yeah,
general
yeah,
that you
just
would
just this
think
very
like a
very
normal
very
person would
casual
wear.
Indian wear,
Yeah.
and she asked for a lift. Now the thing is, in Mumbai again, if you ever had to give a lift, chances of getting a lift if you're a woman are higher, which is just, it is what it is, I guess. I don't have to explain
Though
why.
I think Mumbai is also one of the only like maybe safer places in India. I wouldn't say it is particularly the
Yeah,
safest,
fair.
but
But yeah,
it's
we
still
like to
better
kid ourselves
than
every
yeah.
once in a while, so safe है bro,
Yeah.
मतलब like, मस्त है.
It's sad, man. Anyway, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead before we depress ourselves with different things.
Exactly. So basically, you find this woman asking for a lift, and
Yeah.
and the way the legend goes is it's actually safe to give her a lift. Like if you sort of stop, and she says that she wants to be dropped off a little ahead. Now
Yeah.
the thing is, there is not a lot of public transport in our colony, and especially at 1 o'clock. It seems like a legit person stranded. So in case you give her a lift and you take her to where she wants to go, it's not at all spooky, because it just seems like a regular person. She doesn't talk much. Now I know somebody who works in the film industry and who's personally had this experience and has heard the same
Really?
experience from somebody else. Yes. Now this is a
Holy
person
shit.
who is studying to be a director from this Whistling Woods Academy, which is in that area.
Right. Right.
And when they were studying to be a director, they found this woman, and they sort of stopped, asked what happened, is everything okay? And the woman said, yeah, I was supposed to meet somebody, but they've not come. Yeah, I just want to be dropped till a point where I can get a cab or like an
Okay.
auto. And the
Okay.
person did that. They even struck a conversation, and I was all okay. Then the next day, the person's colleague basically called
Huh.
him up at like the same odd time when he was traveling the other day at like around 3:30, and was completely freaked out. And when the man asked what happened, he described exactly the same looking woman. He said she
Huh.
asked for a lift. I'd rolled down, like I did the decency of like stopping and rolling down the window. And when she
Huh.
asked for a lift, I said no. And the minute I said no, she said okay. And I sort of drove a little ahead, and for a minute I thought she was sitting in the back seat. And I
Oh
freaked out, and she said that
shit.
she drove at full speed, and despite driving at full speed, wherever she looked, whether it was the left or the right or the front, it felt like the woman was running along with her at the speed of the car. and that woman said she screamed all the way, and she called up this friend of hers, and that's how like I got to know that the stories are connected, and there are apparently two versions your horror story can go. So if you're thinking
Yeah.
you,
So, so the funny thing is, I think there's a similar story
yeah,
in Delhi as well, right?
yeah,
This is what I've heard from my cousins, though this is not something that had happened to any of them. So and weirdly coincidentally, so they recently shifted to a different place, right? But the
hmm.
one they used to live at before, there was a haunted bridge near their house, and the one they've shifted to now also has a haunted pathway near their house,
What?
which is quite hilarious to think about because like both the times they've shifted, it's like there's something weirdly haunted near there where they live.
Yeah.
But that weird coincidence aside, that bridge apparently has a similar story where there's this woman asking for a lift, and I don't know why it's like that way. And but in this case, even if you say yes, you're gonna die, kind of thing.
Holy fuck.
Like
That is just
you are,
went extreme. What happened to some foreplay,
whether
man? I
you
thought
say
you like,
whether you say yes or no, your car will find itself in an accident. Apparently,
fuck.
from what the story goes by, and apparently what happens is because she's not supposed to be like a normal ghost or something. She's supposed to be like this spirit of a witch, in a sense that
Hmm.
like haunts the road. The whole thing goes is like she's looking for a day like every few nights or something, or every like 2 weeks or some shit like
Hmm.
that. Like there's a
Hmm.
very weird story behind it. I don't
Hmm.
know the exact details because it's I think very local to that area where they
Hmm.
were. But that lady basically, they say that you shouldn't take your car across the bridge at night because it's like if you're it's an emergency, then it's a very different thing. But like try not to do it because there is a chance you might run into this witch spirit or whatever. And what happens is even if you make her sit in your car, right? She will in a way you don't look at anything. You basically become blinded to where you're driving, and you're basically gonna crash into a wall or
Damn.
something like that, or like the only thing you can focus on is her when you're driving at that
Yeah.
point. So it's basically it is kind of like voodoo in a
Dude, my
sense of
door
like
just
she's
opened
making you live.
randomly and I got so freaked out.
I
Oh fuck.
mean, we are
Oh
talking about a
damn.
witch spirit after all,
Dude,
so
full
so
GBGBs, bro, like hashtag.
EVGVs, yes, yes.
Dude, that was scary. Okay.
It also kind of harkens back to the artwork I made like last week about the witch in the woods kind of thing.
Fuck.
Though
That was,
all
dude,
witchcraft
I think
isn't
that was
supposed to be
one of
bad,
those
by the
like the
way. Just
top
saying.
three that you've constructed,
Yeah.
like especially in the horror theme. I think that was my favorite of all of them.
Oh,
But if you
thank
all are
you so
listening to
much.
this, let us know about the artwork, right? We'd really appreciate comments and any,
Yeah, we would love to know what you sheepers think because
yeah,
we kind of try our best to post every day. At the very
yeah,
least, like I think we've been successful to a good extent, even other than these 1 week breaks that we randomly take every few months or something.
yeah.
But that's because things come up and we have some work that we need to kind of tend to, and it kind of causes
Mm-hmm,
our upload to go over
mm-hmm.
time kind of thing. So it's difficult to always maintain the schedule, even though it like we try our best. And even, as much as the schedule is wonky, we strive to provide as many episodes every week. So hey, sorry about like if we miss some weeks at times in general. But yeah, so Z, I think you have another one, right? You were saying in this case.
So
So once again, we had to cut this a little part
once
of
again,
our episode out.
yeah.
Sorry about that again. But yeah, so we were just talking about like sometimes we miss uploads, but that's
Hmm.
that's just a part of the process. We try our best to provide as much content and fun content as we can. So we would love and appreciate any feedback that y'all can provide us,
Yeah,
whether it be on
completely.
Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. We are on Facebook as well, but that's just like old episodes being put out, and that's because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
kind of had to make a Facebook page to connect to our Insta it's a new thing we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, if any of y'all have ideas over like stuff we can do on these platforms, we'd really appreciate that, because like we only want to
Yeah.
create content that matters, and we don't believe in like replicating just for the sake of
And we
having
are
the
also
words.
on YouTube, by the way. Yeah, like
Yeah, where this
so.
dude Gengar has some really cool video editing skills, and he like chops up these
Not
podcasts.
really. I think my video editing is really bad. I don't know how to edit videos, but
But YouTube is all you, man. You do a damn
I
good
do
job.
plan to, bro, like Z, and I genuinely do plan to make different videos whenever the pandemic allows us to meet up and all that. Or when his building people like don't stop getting the
Yep.
coronas,
Oh
he
yes.
can come over.
Corons.
We definitely do want to record episode videos and episodes that where we are just like doing a different kind of thing, chilling, and maybe also like opening up Pokemon cards and those kind of things, so that can be
Hmm.
put up on YouTube.
Hmm.
So, and we also have an experiment in mind that we want to put shoot, which I've spoken to Z about, and hopefully I've spoken to another
Yeah.
friend about. It's
Yeah.
related to art. Keep your eyes out for it, because I think in the coming year something big shall happen soon. That is the
Yes.
plan. But yeah, so
Awesome.
these are the two stories that I remembered from my friends or cousins kind of telling me about it. Like
Yeah.
one that, and the other is their other street is also apparently haunted, but that's because like it's across a jungle,
Hmm.
and in apparently it's more so because of robbers, because robbers used to
Hmm.
hide in trees and steal from people, so people just made up a story about it being haunted.
Hmm.
But then sometimes things, it's kind of like bringing something to life kind of thing, and apparently it did actually become haunted after all the
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, so you have any other urban legends in Mumbai?
Yeah. So I mean, not in Mumbai, but I have one for Bangalore. Like, is that
Ooh,
want to
okay.
switch cities to the city of
Works.
Bangalore?
I mean, it's still India right now. It's a home country
Yeah, yeah,
at the
yeah.
moment. So yeah.
So okay, so this is told me by my sister, okay, and this is like experienced firsthand by her. She stays in Bangalore.
What is with the experienced first-hand
Yeah,
people, bro?
मतलब उसके
Holy
साथ हुआ है ये bros. It's not like
what the
कहीं सुनी.
hell?
Like how most Indian horror stories go like कि बहुत लोग कहते हैं कि so, but it's like it's not personal, right? Like it's not really horror till
Yeah,
it happens to you or someone you know personally. I think
yeah,
like randomly ऐसा BuzzFeed पे जाके ghost stories पढ़ना उतना feel नहीं आता है versus when somebody says dude मेरे साथ कुछ हुआ, like especially remember
yeah,
when the last episode you said अभी अभी भरोसा हुआ, yeah, like
yeah.
dude I was like like अभी oh fuck dude, don't do that, don't do that, not that voice,
Can I
not
keep
allowed.
whispering in your ear?
Cross, I'm crossing my hands, I don't even know why. It's too hot to wrap a blanket. I don't have my safety.
Yeah.
Okay, going to the Bangalore ghost story. Okay, and then this is basically this has happened in the Pina area of Bangalore, which is also like called RT Nagar or
Right.
close by. I don't know. So my sister stays in RT Nagar, and then this is where this
Right.
happens. It's when she initially like about almost 10 years ago moved there. A
Mm-hmm.
weird thing that used to happen is at night Bangalore becomes insanely quiet. Like if you're from Mumbai or from any other city in the world that's like very urban and very populated, you really don't know what silence sounds like, because
Yeah.
like in Bombay also kuch na kuch metro work is going on, or cars are honking, or some fucker is like singing "Bhige Hote Tere" at 2 a.m. in the morning. कुछ तो हो रहा है, मतलब मेरे को नहीं पता है क्यों, but हो रहा है.
Why that song?
I don't know, because he's healthy and he wants to eat oats. So he's like, "Bhige oats tere," and he's like
Okay, I hate you. I hate
soaking
you
his
to an extent.
soaking his oats. He's a Quaker oats buff, I guess. I don't know. Like it's basically, it's never quiet in Bombay, but
Or otherwise,
Bangalore.
he doesn't have dry coats, so he's just crying about dry coats. Bhige coats tere.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Now you're getting in the vibe.
Fuck,
अब अभी हम
fuck
दोनों
you.
cancel होंगे.
You make me make these stupid jokes. Anyway,
दोनों cancel होंगे अभी. Okay.
uh,
So Bangalore gets eerily quiet. Okay, like quiet, like to the extent if you like stop breathing, you can like actually hear your own heartbeat. Like it
yeah.
is that quiet, which is weird. So
Oh damn.
so like 10 years ago, when she just moved to Bangalore, she would like constantly complain about like, yeah, I have these noisy neighbors, and I'm like stupid kids in my building and they keep like pranking and playing. और रात को भी ये लोग कुछ ना कुछ juvenile हरकतें करते हैं. Teenagers हैं मेरे building
Okay.
में जो लोग सर रैंडमली घंटी वंटी बजा के जाते हैं रात को. मतलब रात को 2 बजे 3 बजे घंटी बज रही है और ऐसा नहीं एक घंटी बज रही. टिंग 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 टिंग. I can imagine that happening at like 3 a.m. in the night, right? So she's like,
The witching
people
hour.
people are like, I'm sure it's these kids, yeah, like weird teenagers and all of that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, matlab, I didn't really pay too much heed to it, and I'm like, hoga, matlab, because being a teenager, at some point I've also done that. So I'm like, that's pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
expected.
Yeah.
So then once she calls me up and she is freaking the fuck out of herself. Okay, and I'm like, what happened? And she's like,
Right.
shit, I don't know. I want to move away from this place. I want to run away. I want to go. I want to come back to Bombay. And I'm like, but hua kya? She's like, so it was that day was a Sunday, right? And she said, today's Sunday, and like a lot of people who go to work are at home today. So
Yeah.
when you go down to buy groceries, you bump into people, you say hello, hi, and I haven't introduced myself properly, so I found a lot of people today, and I got a chance to speak to them. And so I asked, but what's the problem? She says, so it was a small building. Okay, there were barely like 15 apartments in that building. And she said that today, it was a Sunday, I met all 15 owners, and all of them are between the ages of 45 to 65. And I
Oh
said,
shit.
so what? She's
So,
like,
oh,
they don't have kids that stay here. And I was like,
ee.
fuck. She's like, there are no teenagers. 65-year-olds with arthritis don't get up to ring bells at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
She was like, Tane, I don't know what is happening. And I spoke to them about it, and they actually said this has been happening since at least 20 years in that building. And I said, what?
Wow.
And so she spoke to them and she's like, what do I do? And they basically say that it is the spirit of a female over here who uh, there was a fire in her house and she'd gone out to get something, and her husband and two little twins, they all were burnt alive. And she remembers that she didn't have the keys. And when she came back, she kept knocking the door, knocking the door, knocking the door, knocking the door, and nobody opened. And they said like there was
Right.
so much smoke and fire that she realized that something is wrong, and she kept knocking, knocking, knocking till she also died of a heart attack.
Dang, dude.
So this woman died that way, and that's what she's been doing for 20 years. And now what these guys have done is they've written something called Nalleba outside their doors, which in Kannada translates to come tomorrow.
Right.
And
Oh, this is
that's
this is what the movie Stree is also kind of around, right? That
acha.
urban legend,
Okay.
like come tomorrow, because I guess this in that the story is a little different
Yeah, yeah.
because
So it's
apparently,
probably the words sort of might have some kind of significance, but like apparently
yeah.
since my sister moved out of that place now, but like she did put that up, and she never experienced that stuff anymore. And I was like,
Oh wow, that's
fuck, I was
quite
freaked
crazy.
out. Like, dude, just imagine like, ठीक है मतलब like if you're
So,
sleeping and you
was there anything that would happen if you opened the door at that time?
I don't think anyone had opened the door, but she remembers asking somebody that like she also asked the same question that did anybody open the door? And I was like, no, why would we open the door? But they basically say that there was this one young boy who didn't believe in this
Uh,
story, but was scared enough to not open the door, but he was still disbelieved. So he's like, मैं क्या करूँगा ना? I will look at it through the door का
people, yeah,
peephole, whatever that thing's called,
yeah,
this fisheye thing that helps you look outside. And
yeah.
he looked outside and he's like, kuch nahi hai, it's just all cash. And then the other day he was speaking to like one of those people in the building, and he said, what the fuck is wrong with you all? I was looking outside and all I saw was like, well, I couldn't see outside for some reason. It was weird, but all I could see was the color brown. I couldn't
Right.
see mere samne wala ka door. I couldn't see the railing. I couldn't see steps. Nothing. I could only see brown, but there was no lady.
Huh.
And this one old lady in the building said that that woman had brown eyes.
Scheiße.
Dude, I have goosebumps riding on my body like waves
Ah!
right now. Because that woman was looking inside while that guy
Yeah,
was
yeah,
looking
I got the
outside.
context. I got the context, my friend. That
I'm so glad we're not doing this episode at the dead of the night. And it's
we,
just
we were
6.
planning to do it last night.
Fuck, I'm so glad. I would have woken up my parents like, उठो बहनचोद मेरे को डर लग रहा है. तुम लोग नहीं सो सकते.
uh,
Oh, fuck, and then I would find out that my parents don't stay here and I've been staying alone in the house.
yeah, I think this is a famous urban legend in Bangalore. I don't think it's
Yeah,
just that locality though.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how it happened. It is a story, I guess. It is what it is, kind of thing. But that's quite interesting, right? Like how this stuff
yeah.
I don't know if it is true or not, but like people have experiences, and how do you like say no, you didn't have that experience, kind of
Fair.
thing,
I mean,
right?
like I think it's like when people discount or reject these experiences on face value, I think it's a very obnoxious thing to do because like you might not understand what happened, but then unless you were there and didn't see the thing that happened that the other person is claiming happened, you can't deny it,
Yeah,
right? Well,
yeah,
but most people, are like either they're extremely afraid and they're overcompensating, but they just like vehemently deny the fuck out of anything. They're like, नहीं 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 ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, not possible, not
yeah,
possible. I'm like, ठीक है bro, तेरे को डर लग रहा है तो no problem. मैं ऐसे I won't prod on you on that, but like don't discount someone's story because like I think it's as humans that's the one thing that we do, that anything that we don't understand automatically doesn't exist, and I think that's not right. I think that's not fair
yeah,
because I mean, like, there is so much that we have to figure out about ourselves. And, like, I don't think inventing nuclear bombs and laser warfare and chemical warfare is really called advancement or, inventions. We still have a long way to go in terms of understanding the mind and the body and the spirit. And, like you have so much, right? But we haven't even scratched the surface, man.
huh,
But yeah, I think horror reminds us that there is something that is alien that you don't understand, and it makes us realize how terrified we are of things that we don't understand. And I think that's an important lesson. That if you're afraid of something, that very well means you don't understand it. Like that's why I'm always like,
yeah.
yaar, kabhi, if I meet a ghost, I'll be like, of course, initially I'll be like freaking the fuck out and
Yeah.
running around
But
my
would we
house,
even
which
know
is
if we've met a ghost? The thing is, like, we don't know what
yeah.
a ghost actually is like. We
Yeah.
don't
Like
know
what if
if
what if
what
one
is
day you're
this stuff.
petting a dog on the street and then you
Also,
find
here's
out
the
there was no
question.
dog
Like,
there?
I think we spoke about this last time as well, right? Yeah, that first of all, find out no dog. That it's okay. The dog is still a good boy. He will always be a
Good
good boy,
boy.
or a girl.
Who's a good
And
who's a good
yeah,
sheeple? Yeah.
who's a good sheeper?
Who's a
Who's
good
a,
sheeple?
but but that aside, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. Like one of the things I've always thought about, like, I keep going back and forth about it, is are ghosts real or not?
Hmm.
People will vehemently deny. They will call you stupid for believing in all of this stuff. But then
Yeah.
it's a weird thing when like there's no proof either way, right? Like,
Hmm.
I mean, you can say that it's not being proven they are there, but then you can. I guess it's a stupid way. No, it's not proven they aren't there either. But like, it's a weird thing. There's something that like causes all these things to strike up, right? It can't just be all stories to
Yeah.
that extent.
Fair.
But I don't know. It's quite interesting to think about.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think if we as we are on the topic of India as well,
Hmm.
there is apparently another story that's about this village called Kuldhara,
Okay.
and this Indian village apparently seemingly got abandoned overnight, and no one knows like how it got abandoned overnight. Like
Hmm.
there's no rhyme or reason. It's just structure since the 13th century or something. Like people used to live there, and after 1825 there have been no residents there, and if anybody tries to stay there, they also vanish without notice.
Ooh.
Like there's no way of knowing why it happens. Apparently, like there have been stories about that the village chief has cursed that land, to that whoever tries to live there will die, or there's like things like there's a lot of stories that happen over there that's very interesting.
Hmm.
And apparently like one of the reasons is that this curse. Another is like there was this ruler who used to kind of put levy high taxes on the people staying there, the villagers like living in those in that village, and it apparently caused like a lot of grief, and
Mm-hmm.
the villagers like cursed the land and like decided to just up and leave that place to kind of
Hmm.
as a last like uh, a rebellion against the ruler, like they killed themselves apparently or something like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
That's another and there's apparently been like an Indian paranormal society investigation there where they say like that you can hear disembodied whispers, screams, noises, and like other such apparitions can be witnessed like in dark hours, which you wouldn't like experience anywhere else. So this village
Yeah.
of Kuldhara has a lot of mystery behind it, has a lot of history behind it, but nobody knows why. It's just
Dude.
it's just up in the air.
Damn, man, we've got so much like gold. Like I think especially horror tends to get better when it's around rural areas. Because
Yeah, right.
like urban areas, there's just so much happening. You would dismiss a ghost for a salesman, right? At 2 a.m. अरे नहीं चाहिए यार, Echo Guard जाना है. Like just the ghost will be like, क्या? मैं इतना मेहनत करके सर डराने को आया और just पानी भी नहीं पूछा मेरे को. Like what the fuck? like you wouldn't be scared that much in Bombay, but like if you go to like the hills or if you go to
Bro,
villages.
even in Bombay, apparently there are like stories about this apartment building that is haunted,
Ooh,
and there's this apartment. I don't know the name of it. I can't remember it, but I've heard from a few articles and all that, where this like if you stay in this apartment, whoever's at least tried to stay in that apartment or has been sold that apartment and they've come there, they've always jumped out of that window of that apartment. Like anyone who has
fuck. Is
stayed
this
there.
like that Sterling apartment thing in South Bombay?
Oh, I think that might be the apartment it might be Sterling
Hmm.
apartment. It's like apartment 22 or something like that.
Ah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
like if you 22 or 23, one of those numbers. And if you like they don't sell it to anyone anymore, but like if you had ever like bought it and were there, basically it was like a death sentence because you it's not even like someone else did it. You just jumped out of the window on your own somehow.
Fuck.
But it might also be like if I really look deep into it, could it be like mob happenings where that apartment was just owned by some mobster and people who
हाँ
he didn't
मतलब
like were taken there and
just
you
throw
know
them away. Yeah.
thrown out. We never know. Like it could be
Yeah. You
that
never know, right?
obviously, but it's an interesting thing to think about, right? Like
True.
why is that a thing or
Dude, you remember
what
like that
causes that to
that
happen?
that weird thing that used to happen, Monkey Man in Delhi many years ago, on which like that
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Fuck, that
Delhi
was
6
so
was on that, right?
ridiculous. I remember like so many Times of India articles, like front page, talking about the Monkey Man, some weird dude who'd give like
Yeah.
they'd give Spider-Man a run for his money. He's like तू क्या
So
कर रहा है? मतलब,
apparently, like there was this whole news story that had been done where they spoke about how this apparent monkey man can jump up high buildings and like come to any floor and he'll like kidnap women, I
Yeah,
think, or
right.
something, or kids. Was it kids? I think he kidnapped kids or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. I
So
do remember.
so it was quite an interesting time of
It was
in India.
Delhi has
Though
seen its fair
the
share.
funny thing is, Monkey Man had a very similar description to one of the more known urban legends of America and I guess Canada to an
Okay.
extent because you remember you've heard of the stories of like the Yeti or Bigfoot,
Ooh,
abominable
yeah.
snowman kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Hey, Marshall
Yeah,
Erickson would
right.
be pissed, huh? Like, tread lightly.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
say nothing about Nessie.
Nessie is different. Nessie is the
Yeah,
Loch Ness
Nessie's
monster
Loch Ness. I know, but you
who
know,
was from Scotland.
in the book he's reading to like Marvin, and like Lily gets pissed. He's talking about
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
Bigfoot and Nessie. What was it
Yeah,
called? That book, like some abominations from the wild, or like some kind
might
of
be. I guess yeah, could be that.
yeah.
But the urban legend, I guess Bigfoot is one of the bigger urban legends, right,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
America,
yeah. But like
where
the Yeti is like a hilly urban legend,
supposed
right?
to. Uh, yeah, I think so. Yeti is most of snowy regions, right?
Correct.
While the Bigfoot is like mountainous
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
areas.
correct.
So So both of them are very similar. While the Yeti also comes into Himalayas, apparently, like there's the abominable snow from the Himalayas and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, so it's quite similar, right? Like if you think about it, that Delhi description, somebody just like made a suit that kind of looked at like one of those urban legends, and then just
I know.
apparently kidnapped children
Like, I
and
mean,
fucked up.
that would be
But
like
yeah.
an insane thing that I'm glad I haven't seen that. Like, that would be freaky. Like, ghost stories is different, but like seeing a large gorilla is like insanely scary. Like, you don't want to see that. Like,
Oh,
you don't want
definitely. I
to
think
go.
seeing a large gorilla or a bear and that one that like is pissed and looking at you.
Dude, something
Yeah,
about that is just wrong. Like, you have
yeah,
to run.
yeah. You definitely you're not gonna survive in if you like with a bear. I think you need to act, with a black bear at least. I think you need to act a
Yeah.
brown bear rather. I think you need to act dead. Black bear you kind
Is that
of
even
can't
true? Like,
survive.
I remember hearing that in
No, apparently it
stories.
is. Apparently it is. Like it's one of the survival tricks. Like you kind of need to do that. If you don't, then they will mow you down.
Hmm.
Hopefully, because they're
Interesting.
quite fast, and you won't outrun them.
Yeah, fair.
That's from.
I mean, most days I
That-
can't outrun myself. So, like,
Same thing
yeah.
with hippos. Apparently, hippos you can't outrun because they are apparently hella fast on land.
Yeah, yeah. Damn.
But
Hungry hippos.
scary animal encounters aside,
Yeah.
uh, I guess now that we are moving on to the stories, urban legends of the world,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any that you want to talk about, like other than this and
Yeah,
Bigfoot?
I think like my urban legend, like the only one that I know, like big enough and popular enough is like the whole the one on which this one was made, yeah, which was a documentary on witches. Um,
The
remember?
Blair Witch Project?
Yeah. What was that about? I don't know it exactly. I don't have a good
A
story around it.
documentary. It was a proper film. It was just
Okay.
like it was
I,
made in the form of. So the funniest thing about that movie was it was marketed as if like it was actually found footage, and that was the first time internet market used for a movie like this to showcase as if like this was actually a group of three kids who had gone to the woods and somehow ended up on the wrong side of things and encountered this witch that they were hunting and found the house, which like by the way that ending of that movie where they're just like
do
facing the
remember.
walls is
Fuck.
hella scary because that still as much as if I would watch it now after everything, I don't think I would be as scared as when like I have watched it originally that time, because at the time it was hella scary and and if I watch it now again, I'm quite sure I will be as scared as I was the first time. But like for the first time watchers for Blair Witch now, I think you'll have been like re- desensitized to this kind of content because there have been so many movies like this that have come out, like Paranormal Activity and all those kind of things,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it's just so okayish or common now that it doesn't seem novel. But for the time when it had come out during that time, when these kind of movies weren't common and the way it was marketed, oh my god, was this movie hella
It
scary.
was. Yeah. I guess it was just brilliant.
Oh, bro, dude, amazing, amazing. Like, I would recommend like watching it at least once because they did a really good job telling a story in that movie. That's for sure.
What about you? Like, do you have any global tales from around the world?
I do have some global tales from around the world.
Noise. Lay them on us, my friend.
So here's one of them. This is apparently from like the UAE, where
Okay.
in UAE the citizens are afraid of the jinn or al duais or
My God.
some like I don't know if I'm getting the right wording for it because again I can't speak Arabic, so pardon my pronunciation. Um, but basically the word genie as much as we have been like shown like a good version or an angelicized version of it, jinns are generally supposed to be, they can be good but they are usually supposed to be like malevolent beings who kind
Okay.
of like to basically take advantage of people and mix their words, and they're more so like the demons
Mm-hmm.
from the Christian mythology, but like they aren't all bad. Basically, some of them are supposed to be good. There is a story of this woman or this jinn who's like a woman who's supposedly like it goes something like this. It basically there are two stories, but they used to tell us this when they used to tell kids these stories before sleeping when they didn't sleep. Basically, if you don't sleep, you know how we were told like, "Arey, if you all don't sleep, ye aa jayega," and all that kind of stuff.
Uh
But
huh.
it's basically this beautiful female jinn that
Okay.
comes in the
Ooh,
neighborhood,
I'm
and
interested.
she starts at the men in a very like let's just say a way that in a way that
Hmm.
she would want to attract them. She'll wear beautiful clothes, she'll wear jewelry, and the more men start getting attracted to her, they would want to approach her, they would want to talk to her. But once they do start approaching her, she becomes this hideous person, or rather, this hideous persona,
Mm-hmm.
who suddenly, like, her whole appearance would change. She would make them follow her to places that are like kind of dark or like you can't see much, and she'll take you away from the crowd. She'll have you alone, and the moment you're alone with her, her look completely changes. She becomes something else, and she will kill you, kind of
Oh
thing.
damn.
Yeah.
ये तो
So
धोखा है
that's
bro. Like this is not
yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah, right. So it's one of like it's one example. It's one of the more common stories there because I think this was told for the kids.
Hmm.
Like you shouldn't you should sleep at night, otherwise she will come and kill you or something like that. Uh, but yeah, jinns from the UAE are supposedly the big
Damn.
kind
The
of
only jinn I
scary
know of
being.
is from Aladdin, and I don't think he was wanting to seduce
But
anybody.
that's a genie. Genie is nice. I like
Genie is
genie.
a nice boy, but like Genie gets messed up when like that. Who's that guy? Wasim. No.
Jafar,
Jafar. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Why did I say Wasim? Sorry. Jafar. Jafar just takes over. He
Jafar.
becomes like big and red, and he's like, I will
Oh,
fuck you
right.
up so hard.
That was a second movie, I think.
Yeah, come here,
Jafar.
boy. He just goes into that. Suddenly
How
becomes
do you
great.
always go into come here, boy, ka mode
Dude,
after
Kratos is
every like?
Bhagwan. Kratos is God. He's got that.
Actually is though. He
He's got
is
that
supposed to be the god
ultimate
of war.
African American power voice. I don't think it gets better. It
Ah,
doesn't
bro,
get better.
Christopher Judge, the guy who like voiced Kratos in the recent game. Oh my god,
Fuck. Is a new
amazing!
one coming out? When's the new one coming out?
I have no,
Like,
uh,
but
but it
it's
is in the
in.
works. It's in the
Oh,
works
thank
apparently.
God. I thought you were
So
gonna say that that was the last one.
for the next story, we kind of move on to Japan,
Yeah.
and there are a few stories from Japan that I have found. So the first one is about this village called the Lawless Inunaki village. It says that if you stumble upon the entrance to Inunaki village, you will be greeted by signs to stay away, warning the constitution and laws of Japan do not apply here.
Ooh.
Sitting in the countryside of Kyushu Fukuoka prefecture, this abandoned village is only accessible through a tunnel in which hundreds of workers were killed when it collapsed during its construction.
Fuck.
The village has slowly been abandoned for reasons that aren't clear, but some say it was because of a widespread plague and that wiped out the population. And others say like it was just due to remoteness. But the wildest story is the one of villagers that went crazy and murdered everyone with an axe. Oof, that's kind of
There is
mad.
some savage harkat.
Yeah, but like the fact that there are signs that say like
This not governed by the constitution.
the laws and constitution of Japan does not apply here is something
Yeah.
weird, right?
Inunaki village.
The lawless Inunaki
The
village.
lawless Inunaki village. Damn, damn, damn.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
That surely
That's
is, man.
that's a weird story to be honest, but
Dude, Japan
uh,
has like. Do you even want to get into like Japan and how they take every genre to the extremes? Sometimes in a good way, sometimes not.
yeah. Um, but not I guess, yeah, I guess that is true. Like they have some really interesting stories in urban legends. Like one of them, if I want to continue, because Japan has a very interesting culture. I've always been interested in the kind of work they put out because they are some really creative people,
Mm-hmm.
from the way I've seen, and very hardworking in general. But again, we shouldn't like romanticize the culture because I don't think they like the fact that people try to romanticize Japanese culture and all that stuff. But the whole thing is like, I guess the style that they've developed, especially in animation, has truly taken the world by storm, right? Like people really like the ideas and the stories that come out from, and the way they tell stories. I think people want to start learning that, and I think US, there are some studios that are starting to adopt that kind of style of storytelling, which is quite fun to see because they have their own style of animation, and then learning how to tell stories from a separate culture, but like putting it through your own culture's lenses is very interesting. I would love to see if India does that kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
That would be quite fun to see happen because I think there could be some really fun stories that can come out of even Indian mythos and Indian culture. For that matter, there is a game coming out made by Indian developers that
Okay.
looks hella cool, and
Okay.
it's about this brother and sister, where the sister is trying to find her little brother. It's called Raji, and apparently a really good game. Like I want to download it, yes, if I can,
Wow.
and I will play it. Like it's apparently very well made. It incorporates all the mythological creatures from the Indian culture, and it's made by two Indian developers, which is a really cool thing to see. Like for a first time, such a
Wow.
big
And this
kind
is
of a game
completely
that's coming out.
developed in India.
Yeah, I think it's completely developed in India.
Dude, that is
So
insane. Like, I mean, I'm sure like the Indian gaming industry is coming up quite, but like this, would this be pure horror or this is not horror at all? Like,
this
what would you?
horror, this is more so God of War mythos. Just
Ah,
not like just not like the way God of War is. It's just its own thing with
fair.
its own like storytelling idea, and but it does take it mythos, and you kind of apparently do end up meeting some of the bigger names of the Indian mythos. So that's what I've heard. I want to check it out for.
Dude, that's
But
interesting, man.
yeah,
Raji, looking forward to that too as well. But
Raji.
dude, this was like fun. I mean, I had nice heebie-jeebies discussing
Oh,
ghost stories.
before ending though, I do want to say one
Yeah.
thing about Japan though, which is called the Red Room Curse. Where
Ooh.
it's more so developed after the internet world came out,
Okay.
where apparently like there's this computer pop-up that comes up, and this started in the 1990s on personal computers, where it's like this pop-up comes, and it's like a victim's computer screen where they are alone in a room. It has a red background with black letters, and it asks you a question, and it asks you, "Do you like the red room?" It's basically this question is just in front of you, and when you're alone, like it's impossible to apparently close this pop-up, and it stays frozen on your screen. So you're basically trapped in this endless loop of just sitting in your seat and looking at that pop up, and you can't escape your own room. Basically, you're stuck in that apparent red room,
Fuck.
and your
What?
doors will start getting locked, your window gets locked, and suddenly your body will be discovered later, days later, dead in your room, surrounded with by walls that are painted red in your blood.
Bro, that is
That's
insanely creepy. Like,
apparently this became popular because there was this 12-year-old girl named Sasebo in Nagasaki who was murdered by her classmate, and the murderer who like still remains unnamed actually did like find a link to the red room and bookmarked it on her computer, and kind of she died apparently because of that. So it's a very weird story, creepy as fuck, but it is what it is. Oh god, that is fucked up.
dude, that is scary. Fuck.
Jesus.
Red Room curse. Do you
Red room
remember,
cat.
like, before we end the episode, there was this a movie made on like a hotel room. I don't know what it's
The
called, but
Shining.
no, this one was called Room Number something. Room Number 58, or it was about. I think it was more of a psychological thriller than horror. But I can't seem to remember. I don't know if any of you sheeples can like
Is
remember.
there blood coming out, like spilling out of the lift and all that stuff in that
I
movie?
think so.
That's The Shining.
Is that?
Yeah, yeah, that's The Shining.
Okay, that's weird because I remember. Okay, interesting. That's The Shining. I haven't seen The
You
Shining.
should check it out like once. It's a very 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 good movie directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it's the story itself was written by Stephen King, which was adapted into the movie.
Yeah.
And Stephen King, as you know, also wrote it. So
Okay. Fair.
he's not a
Fair. I
script writer
remember
for
it.
it. He's written the book It, and
Okay.
like he's a
Interesting.
very big author in the, let's say, horror genre. So
Okay. Dude, I
he has
suddenly
some
had an
crazy ass stories.
idea. I have played some horror games back when I was a
Right.
kid. Like these were in arcades mostly,
Huh.
and we could like do like I don't know if you sheeples like horror games or would want to listen to an episode. I remember these games were these were basically I think Japanese or Chinese set, and you basically were in a hotel that was haunted and weird. Do you remember those arcade games? Like just you're shooting weird creepies and crawlies and horror.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm gonna like we'll probably put it out in an Instagram post or something what the games were, but like I don't know, like at some point we would do a gameplay on these horror games too and sort of connect it to
That
like
YouTube. That YouTube. Hopefully soon.
yeah, that on YouTube, that on YouTube for sure.
100%. So thank you for listening in, Sheeples. We really appreciate whoever actually does like come
Yeah,
over and listen to our podcasts.
means
Some
a
maybe
lot.
read our articles. It really does mean a lot because we do it. It's not just because like we are doing it to, you know, make a brand or something. We do it because we actually like this kind of work and we get to be creative. We get to come
Yeah.
up with ideas and hopefully we'll soon execute even more ideas. So uh, that's just what it is. And next week, I think we are gonna watch a movie. Once again, it's a watch along to end the month. Since it is the 31st of October,
Ooh,
it's gonna be a fun Halloween night movie watch along. So that it sounds like a fun plan, right?
nice.
Um, but yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And this is a goodbye from Gengar.
Bye, sheeples. This is C. Oh, see you soon next episode. Sheeples.